the days of working for a corporation for 35 years is not necessarily what our children are going to experience.
The gig economy continues to grow. As of 2024, there are approximately 78.4 million freelance workers in the United States.
And growing.
By 2027, that number will be 86.5 million people.
The ability to work remotely and now the necessity to work remotely, those converged. Resources are the most expensive part of any business. So how do we optimize that for somebody? Oh my God, I can actually manage my SOW spend. I know where it's going.
Right.
I can actually put my arms around it and tell people for this much spend, here's what you're getting.
So sitting across me right now are Brian Horwath and Arben, I might butcher your last name. Koliqi. That's not that bad, actually.
It's not too bad.
That's a cool last name. Founders of Blackrock Innovations. Proprietary software is called Lever, which we're going to get into some of this today. But how would you guys sum up what you do in maybe a sentence or two for the audience that doesn't know anything about you guys?
Oh boy.
Great question. I think that what we've brought to the table is allowing companies to recognize how to work in this economy. If you look at how we used to outsource, it really hasn't been empowered by much of the technology. Technology is still lacking when it comes to how do you use a global workforce strategically, right? Everybody just says, oh, we're outsourcing, so it saves us money, or we're using freelancers, and that allows us to not have that salary position. But what does it introduce? How do you make sure that these external, infrequent participants are just as successful as your long-term employees?
There you go. That's the key. We're definitely going to get into that today too. I want to start by just going a little high level with where we're at from a gig economy standpoint. I was doing a little bit of research. You guys provided me with some numbers too. Mm-hmm. The gig economy continues to grow. As of 2024, there are approximately 78.4 million freelance workers in the United States.
And growing.
And it's growing, representing over 36% of the U.S. workforce, which is kind of wild. By 2027, that number will be 86.5 million people, is what they're projecting.
Yeah.
What is the gig economy and why is it growing so fast?
Well, I think, number one, you are part of the gig economy.
Am
what
I?
you're doing right here, right?
Okay. Oh, wow.
And I think we've all recognized that the days of working for a corporation for 35 years is not necessarily what our children are going to experience.
Right.
And I think what you're seeing, I want to say the infrastructure, the clients, everybody is now warming up to this, right? And so the network of freelancers out there has been continuing to grow. Now, their application into industry is what's really growing. There's always been these people out there. They might have been working for other people. But now you see that they have been able to establish themselves like you have and start with a clientele. And I think some of that is because of the internet and our way to source these niche providers and have access to them. That was the major limiting part in the past, is you didn't know where they were, where they existed. It was in your network, and that was it. Now that we have enlarged that network to globally, everybody can market themselves now.
So as a business owner, entrepreneur, they're considered part of the gig economy?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, got it. Because I always think like gig, I think like a side thing or like an Uber driver or like a freelancer on Upwork or something like that, which they may be full-time too, and they may have their own thing. But what you're saying is basically anybody that doesn't get a W-2 paycheck from a company. Is that right?
That's the way we define.
Yeah. And is the internet the main contributor as to why more people are flooding, to freelance work and why more companies want to work with freelancers? Or is there anything else that we're missing on why you're just seeing I think you go back 20, 30 years, it was probably just very rare to have probably a freelancer, maybe contractors and stuff, but to find a freelancer, because it was hard to find them. But
Absolutely.
Is there something else that we're missing here that's changing the landscape a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. A big one is the effect of COVID, and the working from home demand just grew exponentially during the time, but also the advancement in technology. Doing Teams calls was not a thing 15, 20 years ago. I mean, there are means of communicating even internationally, but the way it's done today,
right,
it's definitely has changed. You know, it's so that has a tremendous effect.
Yeah.
And I think you're absolutely right. I think COVID taught us things that we never thought could be done remotely, now done remotely.
Yes.
Right.
It kind of
Very
forced us
efficiently
into it too, right? Like I was talking, the same thing happened with content and video. I think we're all going this direction, but it just like amplified everything by about 5, maybe 10 years.
Right.
I mean, we would have got there eventually where people were doing remote video calls, that kind of stuff. But COVID was like, hey, one day we're doing this in person, and now boom, the next day we're all going video.
It's that the old supply and demand thing that infuses that creativity that you have to create new solutions now because you're pushed into it. You're forced into it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I guess there's nothing good came out of COVID, but at the same time, there are certain things that happened because of it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
this is one of them.
Yeah. I remember being at corporate and one of the leadership team came in. He was like, hey, we all knew COVID was starting to happen. It was spreading, it was kind of coming to America. And maybe this was March 2020, somewhere around there. And I remember him walking in the room being like, we might have to work from home for about a week or 2.
I remember that.
And that was like unbelievable news. We were, because it was like, we might get it, we had flexibility. We were in sales, so we could like drive in our territory and like a little flex in our schedule.
Right.
But you had to be in the office. I mean, you had to report there, or like, maybe a Friday you took off or, work from home or something like that.
Right.
But 2 weeks in the corporate world was like, no, I literally remember it being like, no freaking way. Yeah. Like, there's no way we're going to be
this
2.
And
then it was 2 months. Yeah. And then it was 4 months. And then I was building my side hustle. And then I quit that job and started doing this full time. But it was, it was wild.
Yeah.
It was really wild.
So I think those two, the ability to work remotely and now the necessity to work remotely, those converged right at COVID, right? And we're now, what we picked up on was, what are the negative side effects of that, right? So imagine yourself starting a position during COVID. You don't have that office cooler to go to and say, hey, who do I need to talk to do this, right? I felt terrible for the new employees that went to their home office, had no idea of the culture or the tribal knowledge of the organization. And then that's where we started to cue into as to saying, okay, if I'm a remote employee, I don't have that experience of sitting at a conference table and starting to absorb what all these people know that are sitting around me. Then you start to say, okay, that's the guy I need to go to for this, and that's the guy I need to go for this. That's no longer there. So now you have,
that's a big one.
Yeah, I still call it the water cooler or the tribal knowledge, but it is so important. And how do you capture that, and how do you allow people that are remotely positioned to experience that?
Well, I remember just feeling kind of disconnected too. It was like, oh, cool, we can all work from home. This is great. There's a lot of good perks with that. But it was also like, man, I don't feel like I talk to anyone anymore.
Yeah, you can't just turn around.
And like, you'd come in a little early from work, you'd grab coffee, you'd be talking to somebody about their day or their weekend or what they're up to or what's going on in their business plan or whatever it is. And like, I don't know, all of a sudden, and the in-person is so much different than the screens. And I say the same thing with the podcast. Like, remember our video call? We got on a call. It was good. Nothing wrong with it. But it didn't feel like this. You know?
Of course.
It just didn't. Like,
it was still sanitary.
Yes, right.
In a way.
6 feet digitally.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't bond necessarily through a screen.
Right.
You can to a point, but there's still, we say we have not sold anything without at least being in person. We like to say
hands.
pressing flesh, whatever you want to call it. We still haven't sold anything solely without that level of relationship.
Yeah.
Well, we're not selling little tiny tchotchkes and whatnot.
Yeah.
This is different.
Right.
Different product.
You need to build relationships.
Absolutely.
You need to get
Without
some in
it,
person. Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Longer deal cycles and stuff. So is it safe to say, and do you guys think that the 9 to 5 is dying? Because I heard Reid Hoffman from LinkedIn, one of the co-founders of LinkedIn, he's moving on since then, but he predicted that the death of the 9 to 5 job was going to come by 2034 because of AI, and then the gig economy, because of those two things and maybe some other factors, but primarily AI, gig economy. He's like, there's going to be no more 9 to 5s.
I completely agree with that.
Same timeline, 2034?
If not sooner.
Yeah, I was going to say,
that seems like a long time away, doesn't it?
I think we're closer, probably.
Really?
Yeah, because let's go back and say, why did we have to be there 9 to 5? Right? It was because we had to answer the phones. had to open the mail, and you had to collaborate. And that happened in person up until 2000, I'd say the early 2000s, right? And so that's ingrained in us, that 9 to 5, that we have to be in the office to collaborate. And now you've empowered people with the tools and the abilities. And if you're working somewhat remotely, why does it have to be from 9 to 5? I mean, most organizations have gone global. Especially the larger ones.
What about all the retail places, though? You know, because I think it makes sense for like business.
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah, you walk into a store, it's like you're gonna have people that. I mean, although now I see on LinkedIn, there's a few companies now that do humanoid robotics, and they're not where they need to be today to like service a customer and walk you around a store, but they're starting to do laundry. I mean, it's starting to get weird. Yeah. So that's probably 10 years. That's probably 10 years where you walk in and you have a robot saying, "Hey, thank you for coming in, Brian. You know, let me show you around." And that's going to be common practice, I think. But that's probably 10 years, 10 years.
It literally depends on the business model. Yeah. Depends on what your service, your product is.
Yeah.
And some of that will never go away. Some of those tasks, if it's repetitory, if you can do it, if you have a process flow and you can repeat it time and time again, then those will be taken over by AI, robotics. But if it's you're crafting a unique solution for something, which that will always be the case, because that's, as humans, we want to do things better every day. And those things are probably going to stay as is, or they can't be yet configured by an AI, and hopefully never. But
cool. Otherwise, what the hell are we going to do? I mean, that's why I always tell people, look, if it gets so advanced where like even the creative problem solving jobs are gone, then I guess we just do nothing. I mean, I don't even know what we do.
I always movie Wall-E. I don't know if you it comes through my mind like, oh my God, let's not do that.
But it does. Do you guys ever like take it a step further and go a few decades out, maybe 50 years out, 100 years out? You know, we'll be gone in 100 years, obviously, but it's kind of weird. I don't know what the world's going to look like, because you think, okay, now it sounds like, oh, the creative jobs, the problem-solving jobs will still be there. Yeah, but we also said that about some of the other intellectual, white-collar jobs that we thought would always be there, and like the machines would do the robotics and the factory stuff, and now it's like almost inverted.
Yes. Yeah. It's and the people that developed AI almost engineered themselves out of a job.
Right.
Very true.
One thing I tell people, they're like, I use AI for this now. I use AI for this. I use AI for this. And I'm like, that's great. But if all you do is you use AI, the company's going to go, what do we need you for? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you don't provide any value to the company now.
Right.
You're just using AI. And so an AI agent's going to come in and replace you pretty soon.
I like to defend the human race and say, look, AI can only look in the rearview mirror.
That's true.
Can it really, look forward and develop new products that we need, that, we've dreamt up? I still think there's still a use for the human being.
Oh, 100%. I mean, thankfully, Just AI just look at us one day and go, why are you guys even here? I don't even know,
A battery in the Matrix.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people, I remember watching the Terminator movie as a kid, and I was like, that's so crazy. That's so crazy. That would never happen. Now it's like,
No, go back further. Now I was watching the Jetsons.
And
now you're like, holy cow.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Do you think
cars are flying already?
But do you think AI would ever be able to look into the future and not just the past?
I don't
Eventually.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why not, but
it's kind of hard to think, is where would it get the information, right? It had to be it had to have its own thoughts. But if you think about, a lot of our thoughts come from our experiences, our past. Typically you come up with an idea. It's like, I had an idea to do this podcast. That didn't come out of thin air.
Right. Yeah.
I saw other podcasts. I saw it working. I was like, this sounds fun, right? Yeah. So I think we take a lot of things from the past too. And mold it together, and we say we thought of something new, kind of, but it was kind of done before in a different version or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I have 2 kids that are graduating school, and I try to give them advice through my experience. And
college?
Yeah.
What are they graduating in?
Purdue. One is sales and sales management.
All right.
And the other one's geology and planetary science. So
interesting.
Yeah. It has opened my eyes to many different things other than what I was aware of. Right. So it is fascinating. And then when you start talking about AI. But I wanted to go back for a minute, because you had asked me about the 9 to 5.
Yes, I want to go back to that too.
And I think the number one thing that affects 9 to 5 going forward is AI. Like you had said, do you really need 8 hours to conduct the tasks that now AI can do 30% of, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to erode into our 8-hour workday and say, really, you can get this accomplished in 6?
And don't you think companies would say, but we still need you to do the
We
other
still need
2
to
hours?
pay you for 8, yeah.
Well, no, I think they'd say, okay, you're doing it in 6. What else can we use you for to get 2 more hours out of you?
And now, coming full circle, there's your gig.
Yeah.
There's your gig economy, because people are paying you for the deliverable, not for the hours in which you're providing. So there'll still be positions in which hourly is going to be required. You're going to have to maintain that shop, the factory, whatever, for 8 hours. But I think those of us that work on intellectual strengths, not the strengths of my back, to make a living, there is a threat to that. Mm-hmm. But the gig economy, I think, as we move forward, will continue to morph into more niche applications where, hey, we got to fix that. We'll call a guy that specializes in just that. We don't need to hire somebody.
Well, so if the 9 to 5 is gone in 8 years, let's say, or 10 years at the max, according to what people are saying, what do you say to someone in their 20s or 30s that's working a 9 to 5 now? I mean, because you got to start, you're still really young, like you got a long ways to go. So it's like, and maybe this happens it's not like in 8 years, the 9 to 5's gone all of a sudden. It's going to be a work up to that, or 10 or 6, whatever it is. But what do you say to the people that are working 9 to 5s?
So I think, because our kids are similar ages.
Okay.
And I was asked that question. So what advice do you have, right?
Yeah.
Your kids ask you that?
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
And I always try to tell them in many different ways. It's not about, no one wants to pay for the effort. Everyone wants to pay for the result. I mean, even think about, we have so many sports analogies we use all the time, but I mean, you're not watching the team practice, you're watching the game.
Right.
But what's being done in the background, of course it matters. So those are all the efforts, but it's about what is it that you're selling or producing or making or whatever that is. So which has the effect on the 9 to 5. So I don't care how many hours you're sitting here, is what are you making? What difference are you making? What value are you bringing to the table, essentially?
Right.
So that's when you speak in those terms, and all of a sudden 9 to 5, it's not that important anymore.
Yeah.
It's more so like we have one of our team members calls himself a night owl. He just prefers to do things at night, late at night.
Hmm.
That's fine.
Which, again, it's great for us because he's a phenomenal talent. They all are, but those are unique cases where I don't care what time of day you work, you operate.
Yeah. Once you get it done. Yeah.
You get it done, and you get it done right the first time, and all those things, and who cares?
The best advice that I've ever been given actually came from my father, who spent his life in HR. And when I graduated, he said, look, you have to focus on your life and look at it as you're carrying a toolbox with you.
That's right.
Okay. And you come out of school, you get your toolbox, and you go from job to job, and you have to make sure that you're putting tools in that toolbox. You're learning things, you're understanding the business of it. And then eventually, after you've amassed these tools, you will turn around, open your toolbox, and start making your own living with the tools that you've amassed from your previous experience. Always make sure that in your younger career life, that you're constantly gathering tools.
Right.
You will not know what tools will be used later.
That's right.
Right. That's the magic of it, is we've all been involved in things, and I've heard it from my kids. Well, when am I ever going to use that? and you really don't know until you turn around, you open that toolbox, and you say, now I got it.
Well, we've said it too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we all do. Like, why the hell am I learning calculus?
We faced all those lessons.
Let's hire a freelancer.
Yeah. Well, I think I always say skills pay the bills. If you are out in the marketplace right now, you got to think about yourself as like your own business, whether you are or not. You got to say, how am I marketable, and how do I bring value to the marketplace?
Yep.
And if you're not thinking like that, because the old methodology was, I'm going to get into a good company, get a job, potentially work my way up, advance. The company will help me grow, provide opportunities, And now it's like, it's not quite the path anymore. You know, it's more like, what skills do you have that would contribute to the team or the company? And then based on that, you can kind of level yourself up if you increase your skills over time.
That's right.
So I always look at, man, what skills am I building right now that are going to be valuable today, but also 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Whether that's sales, marketing, video podcast, you know, whatever, how to tell a story, how to communicate well with other humans, whatever it is, that's the key. Because you mentioned earlier, if you're doing something that's very repetitive, you're analyzing data all day, you're putting numbers in a spreadsheet, or you're even customer service, you're just kind of taking calls and answering basic questions. That is the first thing that's gone.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
As soon as the company can say, we got a software, we don't need 50 people, we need 5.
Yeah.
Right.
And those people, they don't got to manage those people. So the management structure is down now lower than it was before, the benefits, all that stuff. They will make that move immediately.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yeah.
Right. But it seems like it takes a little bit for companies to kind of move with the times. It seems like, I think more companies are moving towards obviously freelancers, and we'll get into some of this stuff, but it seems like companies are just kind of slow. Do you still think they're kind of looking at when they need to hire, or there's something that needs to be done, they still look at like W-2 and kind of traditional route before they say, could we solve this problem in a more unique, innovative way?
I think there's something bigger. In most organizations, you'll see a matrix, at least the ones that really understand the difference between like outsourcing and offshoring. And,
What's the difference between offshoring and what is it? Offshoring and outsourcing?
Yeah. And most,
I didn't know that. To me, they kind of sound the same.
most people will use them interchangeably.
Yeah. We're outsourcing, or we got someone offshore doing work.
Yeah. And the biggest disappointment is a lot of people understand outsourcing, but then they want to do this offshoring and they're disappointed because they're not receiving the same level of throughput. They're finding coaching. They have to fill gaps. And they just really didn't understand the key difference between it. Outsources, it's the gig economy.
Yeah.
You are looking to augment your skills, fulfill a gap, anything like that. And offshoring is really more towards a repeatable task that you're sending to a different location that's going to be a value stream benefit. You're going to save money. You're going to have 24/7 coverage, that type of thing. But
so are they is the difference they're more part of the team versus actually outsourcing to a different company that's doing the thing that you need done?
it might be easier just to compare it to content.
Okay.
Right? So when you offshore, expect very structured content. When you outsource, you're looking for somebody to provide you content. You know, if you're outsourcing to an attorney firm, they're going to come back and give you their legal advice. Accounting, they're going to deliver something.
Mm-hmm.
Offshoring is they're still delivering something, but it doesn't typically change. It's structured, predictable, repeatable. And that's where people say, oh, I can save money by outsourcing this to a low-cost country. And they're trying to force the two together, right? They're trying to get content at a lower cost. It is possible, but like I said, 9 out of 10 people or 10 companies are disappointed in what they get in return. And it's simply because they just didn't understand those nuances between them.
Okay, so to make sure I'm clear here and for the audience sake, if I hire a video editor and they're in the Philippines, let's say, or somewhere in a different country, and they're doing my video edits, or maybe they're editing this podcast, let's say, and they're doing it consistently, and I've kind of taught them what we want done, and we've got an SOP they're following, and whatever it might be. Is that offshoring or outsourcing?
Yeah, that's a good blend because there's a little bit of talent in there.
Yeah.
Right? They're using a skill that not everybody has. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think when it's something that you can write the script and they'll deliver what's in that script, that would be offshoring, versus if you were to open an office that does exactly what we're doing here today, you're going to need a lot more. You're going to need a lot more conversational interactions. It's not a script anymore. There's a different skill set that you cannot just write on a script and give it to someone to, provide the results. Yeah. That becomes more challenging to to accomplish. It's you can accomplish it, but it's not the same, right? There's a lot more dialogue back and forth. I mean, we're literally talking about something very similar, an opportunity that's coming our way. Like, yeah, we can do this, but just make sure that you understand that the dialogue needs to be there. It's not here, take this, I'll come back in a week and I'll give you the results. No, you got to check every single day, make sure that we understood each other. The requirements are set and they're golden. You just do that.
Well, so let me use a call center example. This is how I understood it, but I may not be right. If I want a call center for customer service, if I'm outsourcing, I'm going to find a company they have call centers. And I'm going to say, I'm outsourced to this company. They're going to handle all our customer service. They do everything. We really don't touch much except for maybe give them some onboarding stuff. Yeah. They do it.
Because there's a script.
There's a script, right? And offshoring in my mind was we have the person kind of interacting with our team, but they're in a different country where the cost is lower, so the pay is lower, but they're still kind of integrated with our team. It's not through like a separate company. That's how I understood it. I don't know if that's
very close.
It's close.
Yeah. Very close.
Okay. What's missing on that one?
It's missing. What's missing is what eventually we're going to talk about leverage here.
Yes.
But probably the most important thing on anything that you do, well, two of them really, is having a really good solid plan, a script, right? But now who's going to do that? Is forming the team that makes this thing successful, and creating the right team. That's very difficult. No one has the right formula, right? Putting together 15, 20 machines, it's easy because they are set. You know exactly what they're capable of. Humans, it's not like that, right?
Right.
There's so much. Just all you got to think about is there's emotions involved, and that's all you need to know, the difference between a machine and a human. So now instead of putting together 10 machines, you got to put together 10 humans to do something.
And they all have variables.
Yeah.
And so that's why I want to go back to your video editing, because I've done the exact same thing.
Okay, cool.
So,
oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about. So
sounds like there's a story here.
To introduce Lever, we said it's going to take us 15 minutes, or I can put together a 5-minute video, right? I'd never done videos before. So I sat down, I got some tools. It took me 4 months.
Yeah.
Jeez.
4 months to do 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. And I outsourced it. I went to Fiverr. Okay. And found a guy that he does corporate videos. You know, he is a video editor. Here's what I didn't know. Video editing is only a fraction
Totally. Yeah.
of what you need. So I am giving this guy scripts, video clips, screen captures, everything that I can do, and he's still not getting it. He's still not.
There's no script.
Right. And the storytelling aspect is a different skill, putting it all together. Total. Trust me, I know. Yeah.
But there's no expectations of him to know either.
No, absolutely not.
They don't know what we do.
No. Yeah.
So they're usually not going to in some cases they will, but they're probably not going to say, I'm not qualified. I can't do that part. They're going to say, yeah, I'll do it. I'll figure it out. Right. Yeah.
Right. And now you're getting into that tribal knowledge, right? So the script is talking about apples and he's showing video clips of oranges. Right. And I'm pulling my hair out, but I'm like, how is he going to know? He doesn't know our tool. He doesn't know this. So 4 months into it, outsourced, 4 months, I am writing, I have a spreadsheet, and each line is 1 second of the video. And I am putting, here's what's being said. This is the graphical information I want. Here is the screen capture you should be playing. Right.
And at that point, you're like, you might as well do it yourself almost, right? It's like,
And this is a little different because now you're talking that you have a gentleman that you've already worked with, you have a rapport with, and you can send him these things and he understands what you're trying to do.
Right.
You know, and that's really that hybrid between offshoring and outsourcing.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Yep.
There's no magic to it.
It has.
So what
the lines have blurred.
What happened with the video? I'm curious.
Still not done yet.
Still not done. Okay. All right. Well, yeah.
I got a few more screen captures to send him.
Yeah.
And I mean, don't get me wrong. He's been very attentive, but he will do exactly what you say.
Right.
And he will not step outside into that creative order. He doesn't have a leash. And that's an important concept we talk about with our outsourcing customers.
Yeah.
So we do engineering work, right? And Blackrock does two different things. We do engineering product development, and we do Lever as the software. Yeah. And on this side, what we try to figure out is how much of a leash do we have to make decisions on designing? Or do you want us to come back to you? So again, for the case of my video editor, very short leash.
Yeah.
Right? You hire somebody that knows what they're doing, the leash gets longer and longer and longer. And that leash is representative of the value you provide, right? If they have to go sit over your shoulder and say, okay, you got to do this and do that, there's not much value. No. You hire somebody that knows what they're doing, the leash is longer. You can get from A to C.
So much value there.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I mean, I saw that too. We have some clients that will maybe bring on an editor for them that will edit short form clips or like social media content. And then they'll be like, we want to give them a podcast or an event that we did. And I'm like, well, it's a different skill set to be able to go through and find, because you got to know marketing now. You got to know who's the customer and what should we put in the first second or two of the video to make that clip even worth it and perform. Where an editor's going to go, most of them are going to go, I know how to put captions, animations, that kind of stuff.
Transitions,
But curating the clip and finding what's good and what's going to perform based on what platform and things like that, or what you need it for. If you need a video for an investor pitch or something, that's a different project than a social media clip that's 30 seconds potentially.
Right. Yeah. But that was my perfect example of I was offshoring.
Yeah.
But my expectations were outsourcing.
Totally. So where do companies go if they say, all right, I want to start utilizing more of the gig economy, doing, offshoring, outsourcing? Where do they start? Where do they start going to look for the talent, to bring people on, to start this process?
Most companies have started with their own internal network, the retirees, the consultants that have come in to do small assignments. They'll start there and start working their way out. The biggest challenge is when a company is working with another company, those individuals have been vetted.
Right.
They're employed, they're insured,
they know the company already and the processes.
Right. Now, when you freelance, there's a whole new exposure to that. It's an untested, unproven. So how do we build confidence in those resources that you access infrequently, right? And that's one of the things that we had come with Lever, is to look at what a person has done over his career, his or her, sorry, I do that by default, and making note of their accomplishments, but doing it in the background, not making someone actively record, this is my skills matrix, this is what I've done. That takes a lot of work and nobody does it, right? And so that's where we had looked at, is there a system that's going to kind of watch what these individuals have accomplished, what they're contributing to projects, right? And then from there, we can start to understand credibility of a resource or a freelancer and how they could be best used.
And that's what your software Lever does, part of what it does. But would that process start when they're working for you, though? Because if they didn't work for you, how would you gather that knowledge, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And we've gone back and forth. The number one thing, resumes are flawed, right? Don't use a resume to start building the skills gap or the skills matrix of an individual. We found a lot of flaws in the resume process. One of the fun ones is a guy said, "Oh, well, if you want to get an interview with that company, you take the job description, you put it in a 0.1 font in white color at the bottom of your resume, and all the bots see all the trigger words, and it gets you right through."
That's actually kind of smart, though. Oh, they'll catch on eventually, but that's actually clever.
Isn't it?
Clever to think of that.
Isn't it? So that's why we say,
because AI is scanning all the resumes now,
and they're just looking for the keywords, right?
Wow! Don't do that if you're listening.
And all those keywords are in the job description.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah, that we learned that early on.
Yeah.
And said, as much as you'd like to trust these individuals, if they're coming from the outside, they have nothing to lose. Whereas an internal employee, they're going to state what their capabilities are. So we've kind of said, okay, if they're coming in from the outside, we don't use their resume. If they're in the inside, already part of the organization, we can read in some of their work history, some of the projects they've done. But that's what we focus on, is not skills. And I'll explain the difference, because a skill is kind of like, you do public speaking, you can edit videos.
Yeah.
And it's really, in my mind, it's two-dimensional. You sit down with HR or your manager and you go through your skills matrix once a year and you fill it out and you say, hey, here's what I want to do next year. Mm-hmm. We look at what's called, what we like to call proficiencies. And proficiencies is really, what's the frequency that you use that skill, right? So if you do public speaking, or I like to say, I play piano.
That's really cool. I wish I could play.
Oh, I stink at it.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't say you were good at it. You just said
I say I played the piano.
That is a distinction. I bet you're probably pretty good, though.
And we have a personal friend that really plays, like in front of
such a cool
thousands of people.
Yeah, so
right?
Cool.
He and I can both claim playing piano as a skill. Right? I can do chopsticks, but he can rock out Madison Square Garden, right?
Yeah.
There's a little difference in proficiency
right
there. So that's really what we wanted to accomplish with Lever, is not manage skills. We wanted to see proficiencies. How many times has this individual encountered this attribute?
It's literally, how good are they what they do?
Right.
That's what we want to capture.
Yeah. Kind of just a level of skill, right? It's like from 100% to 0%. Where are they at? Yeah.
Well, the whole objective is to find that sweet spot where somebody, it's obvious they enjoy it, they excel at it, and how do we then allow a company to identify that and then reap the benefits of aligning somebody's sweet spot with the work that they have on hand?
And so how do you put that data together? If someone's, like, walk me through a scenario. Someone's coming on site to do some project work. They're a, part of the gig economy, contractor, or whatever it is. How do they start day one? And maybe they do 3-6 months with you, with the company. How do you figure out proficiencies and, the behind the scenes stuff?
That's the magic.
Yeah. I mean, I know you can't. Maybe you can't reveal all of your secret sauces.
No, we'll keep it at high level.
Keep it non-technical. Yeah.
Essentially, when you do something, you obviously you show proof by delivering whatever that something is, and the tool captures that information for your next gig. So now when you're being assigned for the next gig or your next job or your whatever, depending on whether you're a consultant or a full-time employee, now the system knows what you're capable of without you having to fill out a...
That's really cool, because people are not good at documenting all their, and I'm not either. It's like you just wouldn't do it.
So, and the system is set up that way that that information is captured, and but that's just one iota of what the exciting part is, because it's at a much grander level. Is imagine if you are a leader of a huge organization, you have 100,000 people across the globe. Right. What are you good at? Would you like to know? Yeah. Would you like to know what are you good at? Yeah. Right. But with actual proof and facts.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just subjective. We're pretty good at this, but are you though? Yeah.
So I misspoke a little bit, because what Lever does is it focuses on demonstrated proficiencies.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, I got you.
Demonstrated.
Right.
And that's how we keep it accurate.
You're right.
Right. We don't allow people to build their own profiles. We don't allow people to bring in their resumes.
It's like blockchain. It's very decentralized. See my Bitcoin sign, guys?
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm into it. Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. Are you guys?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's the future? Seems like it. Not
live without it. Just give it a few more years.
I know.
It's being regulated soon, so
blockchain technology in general. Now, Bitcoin, I think, will be around for a long time, but the different altcoins and stuff, we'll see how it all plays out. I think it's similar to what AI is happening, gig economy happening. Mm-hmm. The financial institutions are getting disrupted with the blockchain, and it's just faster, cheaper, safer. It's quicker. It's what customers want. I can trade at 9 p.m. on a Saturday.
Right.
It's just the old model's old. I heard a guy say it the other day. He's like, we haven't updated, like Wall Street and how you trade stocks, it hasn't been updated in decades. Yeah, I mean, it's the same way you did 20 years ago as what you do today. It's like, that's not good.
And that's how we looked at even how do people work globally. Because Lever is geared for the gig economy, but it specializes when you have distributed resources around the world.
Right. That's where it becomes very powerful.
That's the focus of it. Is we'd both worked for very large companies, thousands of people scattered throughout the world, all very smart. Nobody has a clue of what they're capable of.
Yeah. Right.
And that's really the mission we set out to accomplish, was to allow managers to appreciate the capabilities of their remote resources.
Right.
And that I see is a major struggle right now, because we actually jokingly call it globalization-induced myopia or nearsightedness, where you cannot fully understand the capabilities of a remote team unless you actually are with them. And so how do we build that credibility? And that was one of the things about Lever, is it starts early on, and it starts to compile your accomplishments.
Right.
So when it comes time to look for resources to do a project, you can see what they've accomplished previously, building your credibility and also giving you better insight on how to apply these people.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Many people will, organizations will set out to do a project and they'll blast it out and they'll get it done, and they'll be very disappointed in the results they get. And it's simply because the interpretation of the instructions is different.
Brian, what were you guys seeing in the marketplace that made you guys so bullish on wanting to develop Lever? I mean, what about it what were you seeing? And we talked about a couple of things. You guys must have been seeing a big disconnect with what's happening with, global talent, remote teams, freelancers.
And some of the, I don't want to say games that were played, but some of the misconceptions, I think, is
that's probably a good word.
The best piece. Yeah. There's certain companies that will just embellish and say, we can do everything. And how do you know? You have to try it and fail to figure out what they are good at. And I truly believe every company, let's say a service company, is going to go out there and say, hey, we're good at everything. Give us all your business. And in truth, they're good at this, and another company is great at this.
Right.
How do we get to tap or exploit the best pieces of each partner, right? Understanding that. And so when we would sell engineering services like you, our goal was to go in and dominate that division or to dominate that department. Say, we can do everything from soup to nuts for
saturated, baby.
Right. Yeah. We got it all. Of course I can do that. I'm an expert at it.
Yeah.
And the truth is your team is really solid in this and really solid in this, right? You know that, and it's your sales nature to say that. But on the company side, we want to empower them to say, I'm going to take the best from that guy and the best from that guy and the best from that guy.
Right.
And without Lever, it's very difficult to do that manually.
So how long has Lever been out there in the marketplace, and what results are you seeing from companies using this so far?
Yeah. We're still relatively new. We have scratched the surface with many large companies because
that's your target, right?
Yeah. I mean, the cost of labor, globalization, even the recent changes in H-1 visas have deployed a different strategy for companies to work globally. And that's why I think we're set at, it's a perfect time, a perfect tool, and a perfect need that's out there for Lever is how do we rationalize our global teams? Resources are the most expensive part of any business. So how do we optimize that for somebody? And that's really the theme that gets us into these meetings, and we show them the tool and they're blown away. Because what we've done is we've really taken project management and combined it with resource management, but at a level where the resource is defined to a very granular level. We're not doing the skills. We're doing this guy can do this.
Right.
And that's where we're starting to bridge the gaps of confidence in remote teams and actually utilizing, and I like to say this, aligning the complexity of the project to the appropriate resource. So you're not paying a PhD to do,
right,
trivial things.
Couldn't this apply towards W-2 teams and regular teams? Because it seems like I come from the staffing world many years ago, and I think, man, staffing and recruiting companies would eat this up.
Yeah.
They don't have a good way to, you're presenting a candidate, imagine, and now you're able to say this is what they're proficient in and they've done, and this is how well they've done it,
right.
versus someone else is like, here's a resume.
Yeah. So
it says on here they did AutoCAD. It's like, okay, like how well and how
checking
much
the box,
right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This would be such a strategic advantage.
It would be. So you have your applicant tracking system is what you use for the staffing
your candidates,
side. Right. But really, levers targeted at those projects with established resources. Okay. So these people are vetted. They're approved suppliers, or they have a contractual obligation to the company. And we list their profile, and they maintain their profiles. And then as projects are I'll say sourced, their profiles are flagged if there's matching attributes. And then we actually compare side by side. And as we get into the future, that side by side comparison is going to be really cool, because we're looking at how do we, not just the cost of saving money, but like, let's offset that and say, hey, if you did this project in the UK, or if you did it in the US, there is an R&D tax credit available that's going to offset 10% of that.
Oh,
so not just thinking of, hey, this guy is $5 an hour cheaper. It's, hey, if we're doing R&D and there's different benefits that I don't understand as an engineer, and I'm just looking for somebody to get this done, we can guide some of that sourcing behavior based on even, like I said, R&D tax laws, or we get into a lot of ITAR filtering. So ITAR is International Traffic in Arms. So that is the U.S. government saying, hey, this propeller that you've made for the submarine that's completely silent, you can't ship that overseas. We don't want our enemies to understand this technology. Yeah. And it's really a requirement that if a company exports anything digital, that it has to be evaluated for its impact to ITAR. And what that means is, are you sending munitions information to a
unfriendly
adversary or something?
They list on probably a weekly basis the countries that you can ship to, or
Trump's pissed someone off. He's
exactly
the list.
Exactly. It's digital now. It's not even a list.
Yeah.
It's just this company is in good state. Never mind.
Yeah, never mind. We're out.
So I know we've been all over the place on this call, and it's no shortage of our typical conversations. We are.
Yeah. I think these are the real conversations that happen with business people and founders, and
and honestly, we started with a few elements of this tool just to test it out, how it's working. Is it working? And we also had a personal need. We run our business on our tool. We use our tool to run our business.
Yeah.
We have extremely low overhead. One of our advantages that we provide as a supplier to our customers.
Yeah.
And then we noticed that, there's many tools out there that they'll do fantastic on this one thing, that do great in this one thing here. There's a lot of companies that try to put special solutions to integrate these tools, and we figure, what if there's something that's already integrated that does all these little things? It may not do it phenomenally, but it just needs to do it good enough to give you a competitive edge.
And how did you guys meet?
Oh boy. He interviewed me. He hired me.
Really?
Yeah.
15, how many years ago now?
About 15, 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, what Arben brought to the table.
You guys known each other a long time.
Oh yeah.
And you're in town. You're not even from here, right?
Well, I lived here for a while.
Right.
Still miss it, believe it or not. I'm in North Carolina now.
Right.
It's beautiful.
I remember that from our call. Yeah. Yeah.
But I come here and, feels home. Like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But then, got up in the morning and it,
Yeah. January
this
hits
morning
and you're
he-
like,
oh
yeah,
my
maybe I
gosh.
don't miss this place as much. Yeah.
This morning he's walking out, and
Man.
I'm like, it's Chicago. This is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
He's over there with bundled up.
You guys just don't have the swings low
Yeah.
like we do.
Yeah,
here,
it's not-
It,
it's
it
not as
drops,
severe.
but nothing is
No.
severe.
The
Here, it's
the
like you're
delta
wrecked
is here. It's insane.
Yeah, it really. I always tell people all the time, like, because if you're not from around here, you may think like, oh, the summers are probably like cooler. Because it's like, no, dude, the summers are hot as hell in Chicago area, humid as hell to the point where you
yeah,
can't
but-
even sit outside some days.
You haven't lived in St. Louis.
And
or-
then, well, I'm from Springfield, so actually, I'm
okay.
not. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, it's even worse down there. But then the flip side is like the winter's like extreme cold some days.
Yeah.
Not always, but and so it's like you just get this like
Yeah.
the pendulum switch. It's
Yeah.
wild.
I was explaining this to somebody in the South. The fact that the schools were closed because it was too cold. It's just a concept that just people don't.
It'd
understand.
be hard to understand. You'd be like,
Yeah,
what do you mean?
the
it's
fact
too
that
cold?
you're
Bundle
outside
up.
for
It's like,
5
no,
minutes,
dude,
you get a frostbite.
frostbite.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
It's real.
Kids will die. Like,
Yeah. You stay long enough, you will die.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I always like that first day where it hits like 35, and
Yeah.
you call me and it's like people are losing their minds.
yeah.
You know,
See, that's
Yes.
nothing.
there's
What we're-
warming centers.
What you're talking about is like the negative 15, negative 20. And
Yeah.
then with windshield, it's negative 30, 40. And so when that wind hits you, it's like you really don't have a lot of time before you start, having some serious effects
exactly.
happening. Yeah.
So that's
Wow.
why I'm there.
Now people are jumping in ice baths, so
Yeah. Maybe
That's
it's
a new thing.
hey, if you're out there for a couple minutes, maybe it's actually beneficial,
Right.
So where do you guys want to go from here? What's kind of the plan? In terms of just the business, do you want to work it for a while and then sell it? Are you planning to stay with it long term? Do you have any plans at all? Just kind of working on it?
we've talked about it. We haven't talked about it recently, but our strategy is we wanted to bring Lever to market, but we wanted to do it under our terms.
Yeah, that's
And
cool. I like
so
that.
We set out many years ago and started doing engineering services, and the revenues from that drove the development of the application.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gives us a beautiful opportunity. We're here with no debt and no investors.
That's
looking
amazing.
at this,
That's
saying,
good for you guys.
and I think that's part of our core DNA. Is most softwares that you see are developed by software companies
Yeah.
and designed to be open and flexible to so many different applications, right?
Like
Which makes it not good for the thing it should do.
Well, yeah,
Right.
structure. That
Salesforce is there's a lot of applications. Like,
Well-
we do everything for everyone, It's kind of like, all right.
And that's how they make their money. They
Right.
come in and say, we have this science kit
Yeah.
called SAP. It'll do whatever you want,
Right.
but it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
And we've gone into it with, we've done product development our entire life.
Yeah.
Let's make a product development platform that takes care of everything from the initial design to warranty and follow up.
Yeah.
Right. And the value that single platform provides is what's really, that's the excitement about it. Because you may not see it. We were just at a customer this morning, and they make big machines, and they rely on spreadsheets, Teams, email.
Yeah.
That gets deleted after 60 days
Yeah.
for Sarbanes-Oxley, right? And so all of their core DNA of why that project is progressing, it is scattered around the organization. There is not one repository of here's our projects, right?
As a project,
Right.
that is so key
Mm-hmm.
because there is absolute information and legacy that they have,
Sure.
but it's in buckets,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
It's just like we compare it to you can have amazing ingredients, but if the recipe is wrong,
Right.
it's not going to taste right.
Exactly.
So that's the difference between what
Mhm.
we bring to the table.
Yeah.
We focus on those recipes because this incredibly intelligent gentleman once told me that if you want to be successful, this is back in my automotive days.
Okay.
If you want to be successful in this industry, in automotive, you got to treat the car as your customer, not the person, not the manager, not the VP. The car is your customer. The car needs to be happy.
Yeah.
That part needs to fit on that car, and it's got to work, and all those things. You focus in that direction. So it's essentially customer focused, but it sounds funny.
I
when
got
you say
it. No,
the
because
car
that
is
makes
the
the customer happy if it's running smoothly.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Right.
Make the product excel expectation or exceed expectation, and you will not have a problem.
Yeah. What's like the biggest misconception that people have about starting a software company that they don't know unless you get into it and you're maybe a couple years into it that founders should know if they're going to start a software company? It seems like it's not all roses and rainbows and sunshines, right?
We could write a book.
Or is it?
I think the number one thing I like to tell people is that we founded a software company. My beta machine is still flashing 12 o'clock because I have no idea how to figure it out.
Yeah.
But that's what I think makes our situation unique is we went and we gathered some really talented software folks and said, look, we know nothing about software. You know nothing about engineering and product development. We have spent probably since 2017 educating each other.
Yeah.
And we give them a complete line of freedom, which they love. So we hired a bunch of guys from Ubisoft, Grand Theft Auto, you know.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But that comes in because we know that the young kids, if they see a SAP screen or an Oracle screen, that's, monochrome.
Yes.
They're never going to,
Right.
So we
That's
need
not their vibe, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We need to
man.
elevate the look.
Yeah.
And so that was our initial piece. But what we found is these software developers, if you take the chains off of them and say, here's what I need, you can come up with however you think it's best to do it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I want it to do this. They come back and they have ownership in it and they feel like they are contributing and this is their baby.
Right.
We've had zero turnover with that approach. We don't delegate. They almost delegate to us. We just tell them the end point.
Yeah.
And
He needs to do this.
Yeah,
That's so
because
good.
the secret is we have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah. But they think you maybe do.
They think.
Well, we all know our craft.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We are a group of people that we all bring something to the table.
That's right. Yep.
And that's the simplest way to put it.
Well, this has been a great conversation, guys. I really appreciate you coming on, doing the show. Where can people connect with you, learn more about what you guys are doing, and then maybe even mention who's a right customer for you guys?
Right.
BlackrockInnovations.com.
Yeah. So
we'll link it up in the show too for you guys.
Yeah. And then the software is under lever.work. And like I said, it'll be released formally in 2026. We're looking for early adopters that are interested in steering some of the future development of it. We have several customers, all very good sized customers that I'm happy to be running with. But we also need some of those smaller companies because their needs are different. And we want to make a solution that can start with a younger company and grow with them and make sure that it can handle all levels of organizational size.
I'm going to make an introduction to you guys from someone I had on the show. His name is Brian as well.
Oh, must be
I
cool.
think
Must be a cool
there
guy.
might be. I think it's worth a conversation for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
So-
have like 40 something W-2s, but then they have 200 plus contractors.
Perfect.
And they do hourly stuff, and they want to track, and they're big. And it's
We could go
he's
on.
right here. He's close. Yeah.
Okay. We could go on another hour, but if you have a customer that is dealing with statement of work or SOW,
Yeah.
it is probably the most difficult category in a purchasing person's, I'll say, portfolio to manage because it's all contractual. It's not a part.
Yeah.
Right.
You're buying a service which has to be defined, and how do you know that you're receiving the service? And that's the biggest challenge with SOW from a purchasing standpoint is you never really get that receivable or that, hey, it showed up, we're done, we're happy, we can close this out.
Right.
And most SOWs are abused to be converted into a makeshift staffing engagement. But
Right.
what Lever does is it keeps them engaged. They have to continue to update their progress. And then when they're done with the project, they hit done. The company representative provides feedback. We keep feedback on performance, value add, communication of all of our suppliers, all the SOWs. So when you start talking about the gig economy, that's where we start to pull this all together. Is we bring in the gig, we see where they fit. It's just like an SOW.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. And there is a lot of room for SOW improvements. And
for sure.
that's the outsourcing, not the offshoring necessary.
Yeah.
And so one of the largest appreciations we've gotten in Lever is purchasing organizations saying, oh my God, I can actually manage my SOW spend. I know where it's going.
Right.
I can actually put my arms around it and tell people for this much spend, here's what you're getting.
Yeah. It's needed too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, thanks again for being on the show, guys. I appreciate you coming on. If you're listening and you think you might be a fit for what we talked about, we'll put your guys' email and website in the description of the podcast. So definitely reach out, and I've got a couple connections to make for you guys. Thanks again for being on the show.
This was amazing.
Nice
Thanks,
to meet
guys.
you.
Nice to meet you. Thanks.